Once ruled by German forces, the schoolhouse where the Allies signed the terms of unconditional surrender now stands quiet, just like the battlefields across Europe. The feared Tiger and Tiger II tanks, once symbols of German power, sit abandoned in fields, forests, factories, and along roadside ditches. Some remain almost untouched, while others were destroyed by their own crews as the Third Reich collapsed. As Germany fell apart, Allied teams rushed to locate every Tiger they could before the machines disappeared forever. What happened next would wipe out almost all of them, leaving only a handful to survive into the modern era. By early 1945, the German panzer forces were collapsing faster than they could retreat. Tiger tanks, once dominant on the battlefield, were stranded with no fuel, no spare parts, and no hope of recovery. Many weren't destroyed in combat, but were simply abandoned as engines failed, supplies ran out, and crews surrendered or fled. Of the roughly 1,800 Tigers ever produced, only a small number still existed by the end of the war. Many had already been lost in battles across Normandy, Italy, and the Eastern Front. The survivors appeared in every possible condition, some neatly parked in depots, others stripped for parts, and many left on rural roads after crews burned or sabotaged them to prevent capture. The Allied hunt for Tigers wasn't just about collecting tanks, it was about collecting information. These machines held secrets about armor thickness, gun performance, optics, steel quality, and advanced engineering that fascinated Allied experts. When Germany surrendered in 1945, American, British, and Soviet teams began a fast-paced race to secure as many surviving Tigers and Tiger IIs as possible. They searched factories, proving grounds, repair depots, and abandoned battle sites. Some tanks were found half-assembled, others perfectly intact. Crews discovered engines on test stands, crates of spare parts, and stacks of blueprints, evidence of a tank program that Germany no longer had the resources to finish. The condition of the machines varied wildly. Some Tigers had clean interiors, working radios, full toolkits, and untouched ammunition racks. Others were burned-out shells, with turrets blown away by scuttling charges. A few were found with crew maps still open inside, as if abandoned moments earlier. Recovering the tanks was extremely difficult. The Tiger I weighed over 50 tons, and the Tiger II more than 70, far too heavy for most war-damaged roads and bridges. Special transports, railway modifications, and days of clearing rubble were often required just to move a single tank. By mid-1945, the Allies had charted nearly every surviving Tiger. Their task now shifted from capturing the tanks to studying them. The Tiger was no longer a battlefield threat. It had become a scientific specimen. United States testing. For the United States, studying captured Tigers was essential. American crews who had fought them in North Africa, Italy, and France knew how dangerous the Tiger's 88mm gun could be. After the war, the U.S. collected every intact Tiger possible and shipped them to the Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. Engineers measured armor, inspected engines, and performed live fire tests. Their findings confirmed what soldiers had already experienced. The Sherman's 75mm gun struggled against the Tiger's frontal armor, while the heavier American 90mm gun was far more effective. The Tiger's optics were highly praised for their clarity and accuracy, though its mechanical systems were overly complex and difficult to maintain. The conclusion was clear. The Tiger's engineering was impressive, but its enormous fuel use and maintenance demands made it impractical for long-sustained warfare. British testing. Britain also studied the Tigers closely, using facilities like the School of Tank Technology and Bovington. Engineers dismantled and evaluated engines, armor, and the Tiger's famous suspension system. British crews were surprised by how smoothly the tank drove on solid ground, but noted how easily mud, snow, and debris could clog its intricate suspension. They admired the precision of the optics and the power of the Maybach engine, but saw how demanding the machine was to maintain. Bovington's Tiger I, captured in Tunisia, eventually became the world's only running Tiger, restored decades later. Soviet testing. The Soviet Union captured more Tigers than any other Allied nation. Trophy teams gathered intact tanks, wrecks, training vehicles, manuals, and technical documents across Eastern Europe. Everything was shipped to Kubinka proving grounds near Moscow. Soviet tests focused on one question: how do you destroy a Tiger? Using German 88mm guns and their own 85mm, 100mm, and 122mm weapons, they mapped weak points and angles of penetration. These results directly influenced Soviet tank designs like the IS-3 and T-10. Some Tigers were restored for propaganda or displayed in museums. Soviet engineers respected the Tiger's firepower and armor, but considered it too heavy, too complex, and too maintenance-intensive for real wartime use. Blueprints, documents, and hidden projects. Allied teams also uncovered massive troves of blueprints, design studies, prototype concepts, and maintenance logs. These papers revealed plans for Tiger-based recovery vehicles, tank destroyers, and even super-heavy designs that never reached production. Maintenance logs shocked analysts. They showed that Tiger units spent more time repairing breakdowns than fighting. Engines wore out quickly, transmissions overheated, and suspension components cracked under stress. These details made it clear that Germany no longer could support the Tiger logistically as the war dragged on. Destruction of the Tiger fleet. By late 1945, the Allied Control Council ordered that Germany could not keep any armored fighting vehicles. This meant nearly every surviving Tiger or Tiger II had to be destroyed. Hundreds were blown up, scrapped for metal, or used as target practice. Europe needed steel for reconstruction, and the massive tanks were quickly cut apart and melted down. By 1948, almost the entire Tiger fleet was gone. The few that survived. Only a tiny number of Tigers escaped destruction. Some were kept for training, others were simply forgotten in remote depots, and a few were saved by early museum efforts. France, Britain, and the Soviet Union preserved several examples, and recovery teams in later decades pulled damaged hulks from swamps, forests, and riverbeds. Today, fewer than 1% of all Tigers ever built still exist. Only one Tiger I, Bovington's, can run under its own power. Several Tiger IIs survive, including the well-known example in La Glaise, Belgium. Legacy. Germany built around 1,800 Tigers in total. Almost all were destroyed in war or scrapped afterward. The surviving tanks, scattered across museums around the world, stand as reminders of a machine that shaped armored warfare not because of its numbers, but because of its impact. Ironically, the fewer Tigers survived, the more legendary the tank became.